Hello, my favorite people. So today we are going to be talking about different places you can get piercings. I'll comment on ears, face, body. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely get ready. Get you a pen and paper, write down some you would be interested in, and think about getting them. So yeah, enjoy the video. So the way this video is going to work is I will show you the picture before I start talking about it and then the picture after I talk about it. I am not good at editing yet. I have no clue how to keep like the little picture like right here with me. So we'll give you a little sneak peek and the little, okay, bye, we're going to the next piercing. So thank you, and like I've said before, if any of you guys want to reach out and teach me how to do that, I would be forever grateful to you. We're going to start with just the basic earlobe for this video. I have had people from all ages come in and get this piercing. It can be at the bottom of like your lobe, the second hole, the third hole. People have them going all the way up until they meet their cartilage. I have done this piercing on people of all ages, starting at infants after 3 months, all the way up to little old women who have had their earlobes so long that they needed to get it done a second time because the weight of having it over the years has just pulled and pulled and pulled. So they're a lot bigger than just the normal 18 gauge. So I get a lot of people that come in that are like, I've had these since I was 12 and I've done them with an ice cube and a sewing needle. I have had that story so many times. Though I don't agree with it, it is really fun to hear people talk about these experiences because it was so long ago that they couldn't just go to somebody to get pierced. So they did it themselves with their little friends. They really are just good for your beginning piercing. They aren't too painful. They're not too hard to take care of. They heal very fast. And usually once you get them, they're there for the long haul. So if you're thinking about getting a lobe, I highly recommend. 10 out of 10. They're so fun to do. Really relaxed. You're not really like feeling pressured into doing something bigger because lobes are very, very common. So moving right on up the ear, we're running into the Helix / cartilage. It goes by both names. Neither names are odd to say. I respond to both. I write down both on paperwork. I really can't spell cartilage, so Helix is a lot easier for me. In this picture that I'm showing you, my customer got a double helix. So she got two right on top of one another. A lot of people replace the starter jewelry with hoops. Hoops are very common in the upper ear area. I don't personally pierce with hoops. I think it can cause a lot of problems, and it's just not something I'm willing to do. And hoops have just always seemed to be a problem. Not bad once you let it heal and then you replace it, which is always what I recommend to people. Give your starter jewelry, it's good 4 to 6 weeks, and then come back. Let us change to what you want. But please just listen to your piercer. Usually what they say, they know what they're talking about. The cool thing about helixes or cartilages is that you have that whole upper surface that you can pierce anywhere. That's where a lot of people add their like forward helix piercings, their flats, their industrials, which I'll show you more pictures of that later on. But it really is an open area where you can do a lot of things and you can hide it pretty easily if you need to. So that pretty much wraps it up for cartilages. If you're looking to get something easy, something that's not quite your lobe, definitely look into a cartilage. Not super painful. If done with a needle, they can be very successful. Guns are a different story. I will have a video about that later. But yeah, so if you're thinking about getting a piercing, definitely consider a cartilage. So now we're going to talk about industrials. Industrials are my all-time favorite piercings to do. They're two separate piercings, two separate needles, but with one big bar connecting them. I have only ran into a couple of people that don't actually have the anatomy to get industrials. A lot of people have very nice ears to get them. So if you think you have one and it's always something you wanted, I definitely recommend. My industrial is one of my favorite piercings, but I will give you a little hint and tell you it was my very most painful one. The healing process was a little rough, but you have to think, you have 2 separate holes that have 2 ends on them. So you have 4 separate ends that have the chance to get a keloid, to get the piercing bump. So that's definitely one you want to watch to make sure that it is healing well. Another piercing on the ear that I personally really enjoy is the conch. That is a teeny tiny little place on the inside of your ear that actually, if you push up from behind, that little part gets white, and that is exactly where your conch goes. A lot of people replace the starting ring with an actual hoop that hugs the whole outside of your ear. It really adds, like, if you want to break up that full, like, top to bottom earlobe piercings, that's definitely one, because it's a hoop that runs right around the middle, and it's gorgeous. It really is. It's super easy to do. It's a lot of fun to get, and the healing process is so easy on that one. I would also like to add that I will be doing a whole video based on different pain levels of each piercing. We're going to start from the least painful and we'll work up to the most painful. And a lot of that goes by people's opinion, honestly. Everybody's pain threshold is different. So as you've seen in the picture before, we are now talking about a rook. A rook is more of one of those more visible piercings. Nothing crazy, like no gets rid of headaches, controls appetite, nothing like that. It's just more of a cosmetic, pretty piercing that pops. It pops very well because of the way it sits. If you're looking to do like a daith, so the one in your ear, and you kind of don't like that it's not very visible, a rook is your best way to go. You go through a lot of cartilage, so it is very similar to a daith, but it's way more visible. There isn't a whole lot to say about a rook. I think we pretty much covered it. If you all have any questions at any point in this video, please leave me a comment and I will get back with you. I done very well at replying to my comments in the last video, and I'm very proud of that. So definitely leave me a comment. The daith, one of my favorites. It is a super duper common piercing because of its reputation as curing migraines. Personally, I have had a lot of customers that actually say it helps. Just as many have said, though, that it is a great piercing to get and it is very cute, but it just didn't help with their headaches, which is totally fine. Piercings aren't necessarily meant to be any type of like medical substitute. They're really just for fun. Body modifications, expressing yourself in different ways. But, I mean, you may be one of the lucky ones that it did help. So, I mean, anybody that it has, definitely shout out to you. I'm so happy it did. Daiths are definitely more of a tender piercing. I always tell people, if you aren't getting it to try to relieve your migraines, maybe to consider a rook or a tragus, something a little more visible and something a little less painful. I have had people handle the daith like it didn't hurt at all, and I have had some people who really just thought it hurt very bad, which that comes with a lot of piercings. But we are starting to get into the more aggressive piercings now, the ones that aren't just one slick through, more of like a couple of pushes, just because of the way that it sits in your ear and how thick that cartilage is. Daiths sometimes put up a fight whenever it comes to the healing process. They're pretty common to get the piercing bumps or keloids on them. Super easy to make go away, but they can be a real bump in your healing process. I crack myself up, I really do. But you do just want to be cautious whenever you have them, and to make sure you're paying close attention to them and that they're healing the way they're supposed to. So let's move on to a tragus now. A tragus is one of my favorite piercings. So I think it was actually one of the first ones I got that wasn't on my outer ear. So it has a very special place in my heart. And honestly, they're just a lot of fun to pierce. So maybe getting them is a little uncomfortable because of the way that you have to angle that teeny tiny flab of skin in your ear, but they always come out looking really good. And if you can just breathe through those first push and then the awkward push, honestly, you are good to go, and they really are a piece of cake. They heal pretty easily. If you aren't a big sweller, I have noticed in traguses specifically that swelling can be a problem. That's why I pierce with bigger jewelry, so you don't swell out of your piercing. Traguses they're just a lot of fun. They have a reputation of being an appetite controller. I personally have never heard of that. I get a couple of customers that tell me it every now and then, but I promise you, I have had my tragus for over a decade now, and your girls always like to eat. We are going to move to the outside of the ear now, and we're going to start with the beautiful AntiTragus. So this piercing has a ton of different names. So look at the picture. If you think you know a different name for it and you've been wanting it, definitely comment it below, because there are still multiple times that people catch me off guards with different names, and I'm awkwardly like, can you send me a picture? Like, just so I know what we're really going for here. But this one I have found that you kind of have to have a lot of skin in this area to kind of clamp it so you don't have that bar that shows in the middle. In this picture that I showed you, she is swollen already. It is a very common one to swell at first. Once that swelling goes down, you can't even see that bar in the middle, but you do have to deal with it for a little bit with that little hump over it. So on this little piercing journey we're taking, we have reached dermals. Dermals are very common, usually on people's faces. That is the best place I think that they like to be. I've always had the most success with dermals being on the face because it usually is a chunkier area. But people get them everywhere. They get them at the base of their neck, in the middle of their chest, back dimples. I've done them on wrists, fingers. I have seen them everywhere. They are a more permanent piercing. The anchor actually stays in your skin. So if you want it removed, like if you want to take it out and you want the whole piece of metal to be gone, you usually do have to go back to your piercer to get it cut out. And a lot of times I recommend my customers go to a dermatologist for the least amount of scarring. So the way that I do dermals, I don't use a stereotypical needle. We actually use what is called a dermal punch. Let me see if I can find one. Yes. Okay, so we actually use a dermal punch. I think they're about a 12 gauge. They put a pretty decent sized hole in the area that you get them in. You literally just go in, come out, pop your foot and head in, and you are done. They are easier than a lot of piercings that I do, but they require a lot of setup, a lot of one-on-one time with your piercer. They do bleed, so you spend a lot of time in the piercing chair waiting for that to stop. They're definitely something that I like to keep up with. They're great piercings, they really are. But once again, they are more of a rejection piercing that might happen. I have heard a lot of dermals can last anywhere between 3 to 8 years on average. Really depends on how well your skin takes it. But at my last job, I had a man that came in once a week and had me change his dermal tops, and he had, what was it, like 3 on each side or 6 on each side, and he had them for almost 15 years. He took great care of them. He constantly stopped by to see his piercer, to get them changed. He never neglected them. He always remembered that they were there, never got him caught on anything, all that good stuff. So honestly, they can last a really long time if your skin wants it, and 2, if you always just remember it's there. Pulling on them can be very bad for them. They bring them more to the surface, and they can start the rejection process with them. And honestly, the great thing about dermals is they make so many dermal tops for them. You can be stunting a new one every day. So kind of sticking with the face theme right now, we're going to move to nostrils. Nostrils are very versatile. You can get them in clusters, you can get one on each side, you can just do the normal one. Noses are amazing, they're super easy to get, and I really can't wait to start offering them again. Due to our COVID restrictions at work, I'm not allowed to pierce anything under a mask. So it's been, we're going on almost a full year since I have done a nostril, and I miss them so bad. They are my favorite. They're so easy. They're right in the middle of your face, so all my clients love them. Just really can't wait to get back to doing them. So on the topic of nostrils, another one you can get on your nose is your septum. Septums are great piercings. You can hide them if you want. If you want to leave them out, you totally can. Most people, hint on the most, have a sweet spot, and that is at the very top of your nose and all the way forward. That is the perfect place for your septum. Really, if it's done correctly and you do have that sweet spot, it's not a super painful piercing. Honestly, it's probably less painful than a normal nostril. A lot like the nostril, your eyes are going to water a lot, but that's super common. Septums are another common piercing that if people aren't sure where they go, they can be pierced very incorrectly, and that can cause a lot of problems. It can cause excess bleeding, swelling, your hoop to hang it down to the middle of your nose. That's just not something we go for. And just to add one more comment about nostril piercings, the very first video, like a little sneak peek to my page I posted, was me piercing my own nostril. I really never thought I'd have the courage to pierce myself, but it really wasn't too bad. I did it in my room, very sterile environment. But yes, the healing process was super easy. It's my most recent piercing. It's almost a year old. Love it. But yes, they are great piercings, and if you want to check out that video, please feel free to. It's a lot of fun to watch other people get piercings, especially like to see how they do it themselves if you're, a licensed body piercer. So yeah, definitely check that video out. So now we'll head south of the nose and we'll talk about lip piercings. There are so many lip piercings you can get. So many. You can get them on your lip, top of your lip, sides of your lips, all these up here, dimples. You can get them everywhere. Your tongue, your mouth is a very common place to get piercings, but it is one of those places that you really have to be committed to your piercing. So yeast products can be very bad for your oral piercings. They can actually cause a yeast infection. So if you are considering getting any kind of mouth piercing, just know that for the healing process, you are definitely going to want to change up like your everyday life. It's going to be something that you really have to be committed to. And another thing about like lip piercings are like they're really known to swell. So usually whenever you initially get a lip piercing, they put in a heck of a bar, a very long bar. Just because the second you pull those clamps off there, you can already see the swelling happening. Mouth rinse will be your best friend with oral piercings, and I definitely recommend you to pick up a big old thing of Listerine on your way to your piercing, just so you have that on hand. Other piercings. So the first one we'll talk about is a belly button. Super common piercing, super easy piercing to get. It's a lot of people's first piercing with a clamp, so that can be a new experience for you. Belly buttons are another one that's pretty fickle about where they are. Some people, like, they can handle a belly button piercing and it stays forever. I have had mine for over a decade now, and I still wear it quite often. But I have seen a lot of people that their belly region does reject the piercing. With belly button piercings, you really want to be cautious about getting them caught on your jeans, getting them caught on a towel, moving up and down, exercising, sweat, making sure just your belly button in general is clean. But other than that, they can look kind of funky in the healing process. Redness, a lot of crusties, those wonderful things. But if you stick it out and you really take care of it, it's going to stick with you forever. But body piercings really are a great way to express yourself. If you're over 18, you can just walk in and really get whatever you want. If you're under the age of 18, you do need parents' consent. I'm pretty sure that's in most states. It's not something I've really looked into, but I can't see anywhere where like a 14-year-old could walk in and be like, I'm signing for myself to get my lobes pierced, you know. And for this video, I did want to throw in that my friend Jensen, she makes headbands, like all kinds of hair decorations. She really saved me today with this headband because my hair is wild. So if you were looking at my headband and you liked it, you can shop with her at jensensjewels.com. I'm actually going to put the link in with this video. So if you're interested, definitely shop with her. She is a great small business. She makes everything herself. Give her a follow on Instagram. Show her some love. Tell her Lily sent you. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my video today. Definitely like and subscribe to my page. And once again, my Instagram is piercings by Lil. Definitely give that a follow. You guys have been so supportive with my intro video. I was so excited to make this video for you guys today to actually start talking about piercings. If this video left you with any questions, please ask them in the comments. I will happily get back with you. But as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!